Hello and welcome to another Beyond Shakespeare First Look Exploring session. This is our third look. Not third look. This is our third session of a first look. It doesn't get complicated at all here. Of the play Fortune by Land and Sea by Thomas Heywood and William Rowley. And we're starting on in Act 4, Scene 2. I thought it was Act 4, Scene 1, but apparently I'm wrong. As it's that kind of day. And what's happened so far, you should go watch the previous two videos because it's very, very complicated. I mean, we didn't know what was happening in the first time, up to Act 2, Scene 2. It was so fast. And now basically everything is unraveling. We are at sea, literally, and well, not literally. I mean, in the play, we're literally. And we are about to, set off. But first, I should probably introduce our lovely readers for today. If I can remember which parts are whose. Reading, Purser, Philip, and a sailor we have.
Constantine from stupendous Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
That's somewhere in Canada? Yeah.
Yes,
somewhere.
In the prairies, in between Manitoba and Alberta. There'll be a quiz at the end.
Okay. Reading Clinton, William, Old Forest, and Goodwin, we have.
Brian Myers from Portland.
Reading, wait a second, I just need to scroll up. Reading Forest, Clown, a Sheriff, and Anne Harding, we have.
Olga from Moscow.
Who's coming into this play not knowing anything, but I mean that's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. Reading First Mariner, Foster, and a Merchant we have.
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm about 60 miles away from Brian in the Pacific Northwest of the United States.
Reading a Second Mariner, Old Harding, and a Hangman, which kind of tells you where this play is going.
Helen in Suffolk.
And I'm your host, Eric Karoulla, and I'll be basically reading everything else which is left over. So that's a boy, a gunner, and I believe it's Susan and John, who might be an interesting combination. So without further ado, let's proceed with Act 4, Scene 2. On board a privateer, which is a type of boat, right? Enter young Forrest, like a captain of a ship, with sailors and mariners. First mariner, second mariner, boy entering with a flourish.
Gentlemen, and my merry mates at sea, those special favors you have crowned me with can never be deserved upon my part. So weak is my ability and knowledge in navigation and exploits at sea. Yet, since your loves so far exceed my worth, that of an unexperienced gentleman, you have preferred me above many other to be your captain and command your ship. I hope to bear myself so even and upright in this my charge, that it shall not repent you of the least honor to my grace decreed.
Our captain lately slain in fight, we by your valor scaped our enemies and made their ship our prize. Since we first knew you, all our attempts succeeded prosperously, and heaven hath better blessed us for your sake.
When first we took you to our fellowship, we had a poor bark of some 15 ton, but that was all our riches. But since then we have took many a rich prize from Spain, and got a gallant vessel stoutly manned, and well provided of ordnance, small shot, of men and ammunition, that we now dare cope with any carrack that doth trade to Spain.
We dare do anything that stands with justice, our country's honor, and the reputation of our own names. But amongst all our spoils, I wonder we have escaped the valiant pirates that are so much renowned upon the sea, that were a conquest worth the hazarding. Besides £1,000 reward proposed to that adventurer that can bring them in, my peace and pardon, though a man condemned, is by the proclamation ratified.
The ocean scarce can bear their outrages. They are so violent, confounding all and sparing none, not with their own countrymen. We could not do our country greater service than in their pursuit to engage our lives.
Aye, could we meet those rovers on the sea, so famous for their piracies and thefts, so feared of all that trade for merchandise, so proud of their strong vessel and stout ging, that man her with their proud artillery, that thunders wrack to every ship alike, oh, with what ardour and inflamed desire would we in the mid-sea encounter them. Climb to the maintop, boy, see what you can there.
I shall, sir.
We seek for purchase, but we take from foes, and such is held amongst us low for spoil. But such as are our friends and countrymen, we succour with the best supply we have, of victuals or munition being distressed.
Ho there,
Eh, boy?
a sail.
Whence is she?
That I cannot ken. She appears to me out of our hemisphere, no bigger than a crow.
Descry her better. Oh, that it were the desperate pirate's ship. On that condition we might grapple straight and try our desperate fortunes on even change. But I that have been born to misery can never be so happy. Oh, my fate, when shall I pass away this tedious night? Or when, my stars, will you bum out more bright?
Boatswain, ho!
Whence comes thy ken?
She makes from south to west,
How bears she?
to the leeward.
Clap on more sail, and quickly fetch her up. What colours bears her maintop?
She's not so near in ken.
Discover her more amply. Now, my mates, prepare yourselves, for it may be some prize. You, Master Gunner, load your ordnance well, and look well to your cartridges and fire. See that your gunner room be clear and free, your matches bear good coals, your priming powder pounded, not damp. Next charge your murderers for fear on boarding. Steersman, port the helm, and bear up towards them. Be their friends or foes, will hail them, if heaven please. And master, you, heed well your compass. Boatswain, when your whistle commands the sailors to the upper deck to know their quarters and to hear their charge.
Captain, ho!
The news? Whence is her flag?
She bears the cross of England and St. George.
Then she's a friend for England, and St. George, our gallant vessel, in her maintop bears, and all our preparations needless then.
Arm rather, for I see them from afar make all provision for a present fight. They've managed their hatches, hung their pendants out, displayed their ensigns, up with all their fights, their matches and their cocks, their smoking linstocks are likewise fired within their gunners' hands, and hark, they shoot already. A piece goes off.
Come, descend! The pirate fortune, thou art then my friend. Now, valiant friends and soldiers, man the deck, draw up your fights, and lace your drabblers on, whilst I myself make good the forecastle, and ply my musket in the front of death. Quarter yourselves in order, some abast, oh, some in the ship's waist, all in martial order. Our spritsail, topsail, and topgallant sail, our mainsail, boltsprit, and our mizzen too, are hung with waving pendants, and the colours of England and St. George fly in the stem. We fight against the foe with all desire. Alarum, trumpets, gunners, straight give fire.
And they exit. Any thoughts since we're here? Alan, then Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly radical shift from what we've had previously. It's a nice descriptive set piece, and you wonder how far it was actually played for comedy in some cases, a sort of rather dissolute crew of unattached sailors. I think people could have quite a lot of fun with it.
Probably. Lynn, then Constantine.
Yeah, somebody's showing off how much they know of maritime jargon.
Just a little bit showing off.
Just a little bit. So I don't know whether that's kind of the playwrights showing off, or it's also serves the function of telling the audience that somehow Forrest has just like absorbed all this knowledge, or happened to, I don't know, maybe read a lot of books about seafaring when he was growing up or something. But it's just like he's been a landlubber all his life, and now he's like this ultra competent sea captain.
Well,
it's just
yeah. Well, he did climb his way up the ladder, so to speak.
yeah.
That was not a
You know how
pun,
long it's
Constantine.
been.
Don't look at me like that.
Yeah, time is weird, as Alan observed yesterday, and maybe the day before, that like big chunks of time pass and we're not really clear at the beginning of the scene how much time that was. So I mean, he could have been at sea for months before these incidents happened. So yeah.
Constantine and Brian.
All right. So the captain is dead. Forrest is the captain now. What happened to the merchant? I know he was taken down somewhere. So he's captured by pirates, right?
The pirates have him, right?
Pirates have him. So he
Yeah.
wasn't the captain then. Okay, he wasn't the captain.
It's a
Okay.
different ship, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Alan,
No, it's the ship, but the merchant wouldn't be the captain of the ship that he
Yeah.
hired.
Well, no, I was wondering what happened to the merchant. I thought maybe he was killed, but it's another ship. Sorry, I'm on the wrong ship.
It's a different ship, I think.
Yeah, because this is a privateer, not a merchant vessel. I think that was specified I say specified. I mean, it's in the stage directions.
Yeah, I think I said something about capturing another ship, and so yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's the one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because Act 4, Scene 1, you've got on board of ship. The next scene is like Act 4, Scene 2, you've got on board a privateer, which is like basically a pirate vessel except fancy. And
I wonder how this was. So how was this actually staged then? Are they on the stage or on some sort of platform?
Answers on a postcard. No, it could be probably. I mean, he has this thing. Heywood seems to love writing about sea voyages, so it's possible they already had the set, and they just changed the actors to like sort of switch the scenery. Brian, you had a thing to say, then Alan.
Yeah, two things. One symptom of moving so quickly through so many places is that the exposition gets really clunky sometimes. And I particularly point out Forrest's speech where he says, "We seek for purchase, but we take it from foes." That is, we treat our friends well. We're on the good side. We're taking stuff, but we're moral. It's stuff that his crew already knows. He's only saying that to us. And the other thing is I'm sure this relates to what Lois was explaining yesterday. I'm thinking, I guess it makes sense. Forrest is describing, or in this scene, we learn that his crew has taken a number of ships and they've kept the best one. I guess by privateer, and for the things he's saying, they take ships from England's enemies. So they are in some sense legal, which I guess is what distinguishes them from the pirates, although the pirates are actually doing quite the same thing. Anyway, that's it.
It's basically the Navy, but they as far as I know, there wasn't like a Royal Navy at this point. It was just kind of I don't know. Was there, Alan?
Yes, there was quite a strong navy from the days of Henry VIII.
No.
He inherited a very weak navy, but actually built it up quite substantially.
Yeah.
But I think the source for maybe quite a lot of the jargon is at the time, the stagehands, as it were, in the Elizabethan theatre, and probably still into this early Jacobean, were ex-mariners, because they were the people who were used to handling ropes. And that is, and the signals were given by whistles, which is why still it's considered bad luck to whistle in the theatre, because you might actually signal someone to drop something on top of you from one of the ropes.
Oops. That would be unfortunate.
Especially in Scottish plays.
Don't make me get the duck out. You do not want to feel the wrath of the duck.
Are you threatening me with a duck?
Yes.
You with the duck.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. Act 4, Scene 3. On board the pirate vessel. So basically we've jumped between, the original was like the merchant ship that the pirate seized. Then we've got the sort of privateers, and now we're on how do you call it? The pirate vessel. So Act 4, Scene 3. On board the pirate vessel enter Purser and Clinton. with their mariners all furnished with sea devices fitting for a fight, and a gunner.
Give them a full broadside. Oh, Master Gunner, your upper tier of ordnance shot over. You gave not one shot between wind and water in all this skirmish.
Sir, you speak not well. I pierced them with my chase piece through and through. Part of their capstring too, with piece abaft, shot overboard.
Ah, 'twas a gallant shot. I saw it shatter some of the limbs in pieces. Shall we grapple and lay the ship aboard? Where be these irons to hook them fast?
I fear they are too well manned, for see the gunner all ready to give fire unto their murderers if we stayed aboard them. Shall we set sail and leave them?
How can we, when our ship has sprung a leak, being ready now to founder in the sea? Some ply the pump, for one lucky bullet, to take their mainmast off. He that can make it shall have a treble share in this next prize.
I shall go near it from my lower tier.
Gunner, do that. 'Tis all that we desire.
Exeunt and Act 4, Scene 4, which jumps back to the pivot here because, for the sake of action, I think we should run it together. Enter young Forrest and his mariners.
Where's the gunner, Captain?
Where he should not be, at his praise, I think. Is this a time to pray when the sea's mouth seems to spit fire and all the billows burn? Come hand with me, and we will board the pirates instantly.
Hoist up more sails and fetch 'em roundly up, and with their gallant vessel grapple straight.
I spy the pirates in the very prow and forehead of the ship, both wasting us with their bright swords. Now steers, man, take thy turn, and boatswain, with your bass a trumpet sound, mingle your whistle shrill. Oh, 'tis a music the mermaids love.
Who hates it that's a soldier?
Thy linstock, gunner, take thy level right. The winds are to help us in the flight.
Blows a stiff gale, it makes all for us. Every commander once more to his charge. He that this day shall die, dies honorably. The cannon's basilisks and ordnance shall toll his funeral peal, and some now sound shall die 3 deaths in one, shot, burn, and drowned. Come, spare no powder till you see our ship, whose hard, tough ribs, hewed from the heart of oak, now black with pitch, be painted blue with smoke.
And they exit. Act 4, Scene 5, to keep this on a roll. On board the pirate ship, because, continuous action. A great alarum and flourish. Enter young Forrest and his mates with Purser and Clinton, with their mariners prisoners.
First thanks to heaven for this great victory, bought with a fearful hazard of our lives and large expense of blood on either part.
We now are captives that make others thrall. Thus ebbs may flow and highest tides may fall.
The latest day may come to have his date. Stars govern all, and none can change his fate.
Such prisoners as this pirates keep in hold, release them straight. The riches of their ship we must you will divide in equal shares, to every man's desert, estate, and place.
Fortune, I spit defiance in thy face. That thy best were tasted, and thy worst we know. We can pay what we to nature owe.
Enter the merchant, brought in with other prisoners.
Oh, I'm the merchant. Lost track of who I was. Sorry.
It's fine. It's a normal Thursday.
Surprised again. Whose prisoner am I now? I'm Fortune's ball. Whither am I bandied? Having lost all before, is it possible I can now be made a second prize? I lost my wealth in my first hostile strife, and nothing now is left me save my life.
These prisoners we will, at our further leisure, peruse and know their fortunes and estates.
That captain I should know. That face of his is with mine eye familiar. Sure 'tis he whose life I, by my sister's means, preserved, with money and apparel furnished him, and got him place at sea, and hath he now forgot me? What, not know me? The world right when rich we honor, being poor we spite. Ne'er look so strange. I do not mean to claim acquaintance of such men as are ingrate. All my good deeds once done I throw behind, whose meed in heaven and earth I look to find.
That merchant I have known, and now I better survey him. 'Tis the man to whom I owe all that I have, my fortunes, nay, my life. What reason have you, sir, to fly me so? Since unto you and to your brother's wife my hopes, my power, my whole estate is due, from whom my means and all my fortunes grew.
Do you know me then?
Think you I can forget, or slightly cancel such a countless debt? Behold my ship, my conquest, and my prize. These prisoners, with all my full command, is yours, only yours, and they are at your service rest. Alas, dear friend, how came you thus distressed?
These pirates robbed me and have seized my goods, which they've stuffed in their hold. My brother's venture, with mine own substance, they have made their spoil.
All which, behold, I redeliver you, and to the utmost farthing will restore. Besides, I make you partner in our prize, and herein am I only fortunate to prove a grateful debtor.
Your gratitude exceeds all courtesy, both of my sister's party and mine own.
It comes much short of either. Oh, dear sir, should I forget the friendship showed in want, and done in my extremest poverty, it were a sin of heaven unpardonable. This pirate's ship, load with your merchandise, you shall straight man for England, where arrived, commend me to the mirror of her sex, your sister, in the humblest phrase you can, to whom deliver, as from me, this jewel. The best our voyage yields, tell her from me, that gentleman, whose innocent life she saved, hath by the token her remembrance braved. To my brother and my sister this small sum, to buy their service from their father's hand, and free them from his slavish servitude.
I shall do all you will, thus overswayed, needs must report your debts are doubly paid.
Having my pardon purchased, and my prisoners delivered to the sentence of the law, my next affairs shall be to visit her.
Sorry. Our case is otherwise. Our next affairs is to betake us to our beads and prayers.
Be as be may, base fortune I defy. We bravely lived and will as boldly die.
Hoist sail for England with our long-wished prize, whilst we applaud that fortune he defies.
And they exit, and thus ends Act 4. That was, yeah, I think people have a lot of thoughts. Alan, then Constantine. Yeah, Constantine.
I mean, this would have been quite an expensive set of scenes to stage. You know, you need two ship sets, one either side of the stage, presumably, with the focus shifting between them. And it's completely off the thread of a very large chunk of the earlier part of the play.
Yeah.
And basically, you just need these ship sets for Act 4.
Mm-hmm.
So there must have been quite a substantial act break in there to actually allow time for it to be struck and reset for what follows.
Yeah, probably. Olga, Constantine, then Olga. Sorry, yeah.
Well, obviously, it seems like was it Rowley probably wrote this part or something, because as we said, the second part seems more dynamic, and of course the idea of fortune and fate is they keep hitting us. I mean, I think I've counted at least 6 references to fortune and fate, and we see Forrest here as a swashbuckler hero. I mean, where did that come from?
Yeah,
he was such a good duelist.
I think there's a lot of time that has gone by.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how he sends Anne a gift for her good deed,
for her kindness,
for helping him, right? So I don't know what's happening there.
Oh, I think we know exactly where that's headed.
Yeah. But this idea, like, you know, the back and forth, like and this change of fate related to the sea, right? I mean, anything could happen, you know, and I think obviously the ship is a metaphor as well, right? The idea you're on one ship, you can be on another ship. Who's the enemy? Who's not the enemy? Who's a good guy? Who's a bad guy? One day you could be the captain, the other day you could be a hostage, and it goes back and forth. And you know, the idea of fortune and destiny and fate, and of course, and we've mentioned this before, I keep saying Forrest keeps taking control of his fate, right? He is in charge. He has agency, which he didn't seem to have before.
Well, he did decide to sort of, you know, kill the murderer of his brother,
Yeah,
and
but
then it all went downhill from, well, or uphill
Yeah,
from there.
but he had to leave the land in order to find his destiny, right?
Yeah, what impresses me is that he complains about all the stuff he's done. He kind of goes, "Yeah, well, all the ships and all the prizes and everything are nothing until I can pay off this debt." And it's like, dude, you just like you became captain of a privateer. Come on, it's not a small thing. I mean, for him to achieve, I don't know. It's
Jack
just
Sparrow can do it.
yeah, totally. Olga, then Brian. Sorry.
Well, I was thinking about the set, and yeah, judging by the dynamics and skipping from one ship to another, my first idea was they did not care about sets at all. I don't know where exactly this play was first staged. I have no idea which company it was written for, but I imagined the globe and the picture of this thing. Sometimes it's a staircase going down to the groundlings, and probably two islands among the sea of groundlings.
Yeah.
Works perfectly. Main stage, one island, then other island, and who cares about building the exact sets of shit on them?
Yeah.
It's just different places, and yes, your imagination.
Yeah, I mean, that. Yeah.
And make it really quick, really dynamic, and yeah, have lots of.
Yeah. Well, technically, all you have to do is just add, just change a flag. That's the difference. So, I mean, if you have the set, I mean, if you really want to go full on with like the set and whatever, you can just change like the flag, because technically there's no difference, except maybe the type of ship. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if the audience would know.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, what was I saying?
Men's men.
Yeah.
Red Bull Theatre. Thank you.
Brian, yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I was going to respond to what Constantine said about how Forrest seems to have taken initiative and done something about his own destiny. Although that's true, and yet at the moment we see him in this play, he is saying, "It's out of my control. If only destiny would bring me the pirates." That is out of his. That's the one thing that would help, and he can't do anything about it. And then, of course, in the next scene, or in that very scene, there they come. So I think we get back to, I guess this was Lois's observation, that Fortune by Land and Sea as a title can just describe, you know, pachinko balls rolling through land and sea and many unexpected things happening to them.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I'm just impressed by the merchant going, "He doesn't remember me. How dare he? I will frown on him." And then sort of as soon as he's recognized, it's like, "Oh, hello there."
Yeah. And that's another contrast, another one of those contrasts designed solely to display moral reasoning. One of them gets to describe how bad it would be if such good deeds were not recognized and rewarded. And then the other one gets to recognize them, and we get to be back in the good world. There's no action there. Nothing happens. He's mistaken. The merchant is mistaken because he does get recognized. It's just for the audience to entertain for a moment the thought of what the ingratitude would be like. That's what this play loves to do, is have you pose, take moral positions and pose in them.
Well, also it's kind of that thing of, in case you forgot how we met, this is how, this is how we know each other. Yeah. Which is like
exposition
a few scenes ago.
Good point.
Yeah. So, Alan,
yeah. I mean, just been a bit going on in the chat about the Red Bull Theatre where it was originally staged, which was converted in yard. So potentially you've got galleries on either side. So co-rigging would not be difficult to organise in that situation. And as Eric said, all you need is a flag on either side to show the two locales, as it were.
Mhm.
But
Well, also no health and safety to worry about. So, I mean, back then, not
health
now.
and safety, what's that?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
the Red Bull are on the same size as the globe.
Oh, but a little different in configuration. But yes, I totally agree with Alan.
Yeah,
Yes, it's very, very doable there.
Sorry, the only Red Bull I know of is like the one in America. So I was
It didn't have wings. This one didn't have wings.
no. I was thinking of the one in America, which is an online. They also do online shows, so that's different. Yeah, moving on. Act 5, Scene 1, I guess, which is where things get very messy because there are a lot of characters. Enter Old Harding, Anne Harding, Foster, Goodwin, William, John, Philip, and Susan. The last two setting forth a table.
You are welcome, gentlemen. Come, take your places as your degrees are. Wife, the chair is yours. My loving boys, sit. Let the servants wait.
Brother, that's you.
This day I do entreat you, gentlemen, after the table's ended, to be a witness unto some deeds that must inherit these, and him that is my eldest, quite disabled, to which I must entreat your friendly hands.
Mine is still at your service.
So is mine, sir. Oh, day long looked for.
Now we shall live like two young emperors. Oh, day worthy to be writ in the almanac in red letters for a most famous holiday.
Well, just on, gentlemen. When all is tried, I hope my patience will exceed your pride.
Wait at my elbow with a clean trencher, Phil. Do your duty and have your due. You know your place. Be ready with a glass of beer, and when I say, Phil, Phil.
Enter the clown.
If please your worship, here's a manner or a kind of some foul desires to have some conference with you.
A seafowl?
Yes, a seagull. I mean a mariner. He says he has some news to tell you from my mistress and her brother at sea.
Touching my venture, really guide him in.
He smells, as they say, of pitch and tar. If you will have him to perfume the room with his sea musk, I'll show him the way instantly.
I prithee do, and that with expedition.
I did not look thus soon to hear from him.
I fear some strange mishap hath late befallen him.
Enter the sailor and clown. Presumably the clown went to get the sailor. So yeah, enter the sailor and clown.
Now, honest friend, the news, how fares my brother?
How does my venture prosper?
Sir, your ship is taken, all your goods by pirates seized, your brother prisoner, and of all your venture, there's not the value of 1 penny saved.
The news has pierced my soul and entered me quite through the heart. I'm on a sudden sick of, I fear, a mortal malady. Oh!
How is it with my father?
Worse and worse. The news of such a great and weighty loss kills all my vitals in me.
Father, for heaven's sake, father, die not yet, before you have made over your land.
That were a jest indeed. Why, father.
Trouble me not. If I survive this night, you two shall be my heirs.
This night, if it be thy will.
Alas, how fare you, sir?
Take courage, father.
Son, lead me hence and bear me to my bed. My strength does fail. I cannot help myself.
Run for the writings. They are already drawn at the scriveners. Bid them bring them quickly, with a vengeance.
Let them alone. My hand hath not the strength to guide my pen. Let them alone, I say. Support me to my bed, and my kind neighbours, assist me with your prayers, for I divine my soul this night shall amongst angels shine.
Marry, heaven forbid, can he find no time to die but now? But come, let's in and haunt his ghost about the writings. Exhumed pretty much everyone except Goodwin and Foster.
'Tis strange that bare report of such a loss should strike a man so deeply to the heart.
I oft have read the like, how some have died with sudden joy, or some with exceeding grief.
If he should die intestate, all the land falls to the elder brother, and the younger have nothing, save from mere courtesy.
I know it, neither lands nor movables. Come, let us hear what further news within.
Enter the clown.
Oh, my master, what shall I do for my poor master? The kind churl is departed. Never did poor, hard-hearted wretch pass out of the world so like a lamb. Alas, for my poor, usuring, slaughtering master. Many an old widow hast thou turned into the street, and many an orphan made beg their bread. Oh, my sweet, cruel, kind, pitiless, loving, hard-hearted master, he's dead, he's gone, he's fled, and now full low must lie his head. Oh, my sweet, vile, kind, flinty, mild, uncharitable master.
Dead on a sudden, 'tis exceeding strange. Yet for the eldest son it happens well.
Ill for the younger brother.
Enter William and John, aka the younger brothers.
Jack,
Will,
the land's gone.
father's dead.
We have made him a fair hand on it. Have we not? Who shall fill the glass now, and wait upon our trenchers?
Nay, who must go to plough and make clean the hair? Who must go to plough and make clean the hen roost, rub horse heels, lead the wains, remove the bullets, cleanse the shoes, and indeed, who must do all the drudgery about the house?
Would he find no time to die but now? I could even cry for anger. But here they come.
Enter Philip and Susan, well habited, the former with bags of money. Anne and Harding and others.
My father's dead.
Alas, for my dear husband.
Comfort yourself, although he die intestate. It shall not hurt you. We have found you kind, and shall be now as willing to requite you as able. How now, brothers, do you weep, and bear a part with us in heaviness? No, no, your griefs and ours are contrary. I grieve, I've lost a father. She a husband. This doth not move you. You lamenting stand, not for our father's loss, but loss of land. Do you remember with what rude despite, what base contempt and slavish contumely you have despised me and my dear loved wife?
We partly remember it.
So do not I have forgot it quite. In sight whereof, though had you got my lands, heaven knows how ill you would have dealt with me. Thus I'll use you. Receive your patrimony.
Philip gives them the money bags.
No more, fellow Phil, now, but here receive your proportions.
Your diet, if you please, is at my table, or where you please, if you refuse my kindness.
Kindness, unlooked for thanks, good gentle brother.
Why, this gold will never be spent.
Oh, it is an easy thing to bring this mountain to a molehill.
This is more of your courtesy than our deserving. To trouble your table, being so many ordinaries in town, were somewhat superfluous.
Spend but encompass, rioting eschew. Waste not, but seek to increase your patrimony. Beware of dice and women, company with men of best desert and quality. Lay but these words into your hearts enrolled. You'll find them better than these bags of gold.
Thanks for your coin and counsel. Come, Jack, this shall be lavished among the suburbs. Here's drink money, dice money, and drab money. Here's money by the back and money by the belly. Here's that shall make us merry in claret, muscadine, and sherry. Farewell, brother.
My most bounteous brother. Exeunt William and John.
Farewell, young masters.
And now, my vile friends, such us fawn on plenty and cannot bear the very name of want.
We have found the mine now.
You that disabled once the power of heaven and scorned my state, unable to be raised.
You see, here one's your tale and your talesman.
Take heed, lest here for your unthankfulness, that which once raised do not remove your estates. God be with you henceforth, however your speed. Trust not in riches, and despise not need.
1 £60 will do it.
Exit Goodwin and Foster.
Mother, the thirds of all my father's lands are yours, with whatever you like else. And now, sweet Sue, it glads me, I shall make thee partner of all this plenty, thou boast part with me in all extreme necessities.
Lynn, could you read Susan since we're here? Yeah, please.
Yes. You are all my wealth, nor can I taste of want whilst I keep you. Oh, would these fortunes raise my downcast father, or repeal my brother, my banished brother, to his native home, I were in all my thoughts at peace with heaven.
All that I have is theirs, my only sorrow, next to my father, is in part for them. And next, for your dear brother taken at sea, whose loss, if he survive, we will repair, even the best of our ability. But come unto our father's burial first, whom, though his life brought sorrow, death content, we cannot but with funeral tears lament.
And now, no fellows, unless it be at football.
Exit Philip, Susan, and the clown.
Heaven, being just, could not deal longer roughly with one so virtuous and completely honest. He merits all he hath, but to my state I'm at once doubly unfortunate. I have lost a husband and a brother too.
Enter the merchant.
A husband, sister, but no brother. Lo, that brother lives.
And can it, heaven, be so?
You are the cause I live.
I, brother? How? Tidings were brought into this place, but now your ship was spoiled, you prisoner.
And 'twas true, yet all these losses I regained by you.
By me?
By you. And sister, thus it was. You saved the life of a young gentleman, whom for your sake I furnished out to sea. He, when my ship was taken, I surprised and bound. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but he, when my ship was taken, I surprised and bound, and cast in hold, restored my fortunes, and besides, all my merchandise restored, wherein you bear chief venture, made my sharer of the rich pirate's prize.
That gentleman?
The self-same, in whose life you did save yourself some £1,000. I have, as further token of his gratitude, in this choice jewel he commends to you millions of gratulations and kind thanks. Besides unto his sister store of gold to redeem her wretched husband and herself from my deceased brother's slavery, which I now see pale death hath done for them.
You speak of unexpected novelties, with which we will acquaint their sorrowful souls. These tokens will be joyful to them both, and tidings of his safety welcomer, than that great sum by him regained at sea.
We do them wrong to keep news of such joy so long from them. Which will no longer smother. £2,000 I bring you, and a brother.
And they exit. Lynn is so happy about this possible
I
ending.
know, it's like super cheesy, and I just love it. I love it.
I like
Good
how
is
you
happening
rhyme.
in the bad.
I like how you rhyme smother and brother.
It works. It's fine.
I'm sorry if it was pretty loud.
No, we didn't hear anything. I mean,
No,
aside
because
from you
the
speaking.
heavy rain started suddenly in the midst of this scene.
Oh, it's appropriate, I guess. Any thoughts? Also, what I'm intrigued by is that we have a sort of mirror scene with the beginning where Old Forest had fainted over seeing the body of his son, and he he didn't die. He just kind of recovered slowly. Whereas here we have the father fainting because he lost the ship and eventually dying. Lynn.
Yeah. This is definitely, we're in romance fairy tale kind of territory here. Because as we find out when Susan and Philip re-enter, that Harding, is that
Old Harding.
Old Harding wasn't completely ruined. He still had regular income from his rents. Lost a lot of money. The merchant venture having gone south, but it's not like, oh my God, I'm reduced to abject poverty now. But it's like so greedy that losing that money gives him like a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, and he dies. But we have to get rid of him because, like I said, Anne and young Forrest have to get together.
Of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And again, I mean, like Brian keeps observing that like this play is so concerned with people's moral character and their sort of ethical way of being in the world. And Philip says, I've lost a father. He basically says, that's a loss for me. I'm sad about that. You guys aren't sad about that. You're sad about the fact that he didn't have time to rewrite his will. Clearly. And he says, now I'm going to give you some money so that you basically can live a modest but not abject existence, but spend it wisely. And then one of the brothers says, oh yeah, thanks for the advice, let's go whoring. So they're just like bad all the way to the end. There's no redemption for them, although Philip tries. And and Anne doesn't say, oh, when her stepson says, we will take care of you, you have a third of your late husband's estate to maintain you, which was actually very traditional, like 30% or something went to care for a widow in her lifetime. So he's like, yeah, we'll honor that tradition and you will have maintenance. She doesn't say, phew, I was worried about that. She says, I've lost a husband and a brother. She's like grieving the loss of a husband who was really kind of a horrible person. She doesn't say, well, that's good because I never really liked him anyway, which she would have been justified in saying. So, she's a good person. She grieves the loss of her spouse. She grieves the loss of her brother. She's not, she's not concerned with mercenary issues. So, this I find this scene really satisfying because, bad things happen to bad people. But it's also interesting how the text really takes time to give us a little insight into people's sort of moral code.
yeah,
It's really concerned with that.
indeed. Alan and Constantine.
Yeah, I think it was in the previous recording, Brian was actually linking this to Charles Dickens' themes. And this scene in particular felt really very much as if it could almost have been a Dickens one, because the sound of loose ends being tied up left, right, and centre, and all for the best in the best of all possible worlds, which I appreciate. It's not Dickens, but somebody else. And it seems to be almost another one of these Deus Ex Machina type resolutions. Well, yeah, we're coming towards the end, chaps. We better do something to try and tidy it up a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it is also kind of that thing of, well, we got this far. Might as well tidy up. Constantine, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Anne now is single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's received a jewel from a young man who she likes.
Yeah. And as you said before, all the good people are getting rewarded. But I have a question. I find Philip too good.
Yeah, he's boring.
Too perfect. Does he change at all in this play?
Well, he complains at the beginning, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's just being the sort of benign, benevolent.
But I mean, out of all the characters, who changes the most?
I don't think anyone changes
really good
significantly.
question.
Because they all have moral identities that don't change. If you're good at the beginning, you're good at the end. If you're and vice versa.
No one really has an arc. That's a really great question.
Well, it depends how you look at it, though.
Unless the clown, I don't know.
They have arcs of fortune. Their money has an arc.
Yeah, there you go. Up and down. It's like the markets. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Lynn. Yeah.
Forrest might a little bit because he's sort of angry and impulsive, when he kills his brother's murderer. And maybe he's not, maybe he's learned a lesson from that. But if that's the case, really no emphasis is put on it. But yeah, no one really has a character arc.
Yeah.
They're arcs of fortune, not of character experience.
Yeah.
That is an interesting point.
Just a tiny little side point, thinking back to the last scene with the pirates, it was the disposition of a third of the estate to Anne that made me think about this. When Forrest discovers that the person he's captured is the merchant who was his benefactor, he tells that merchant, I will give you back all your looted goods and a share of everything else, which is wonderful from the moral perspective of the play, and awful for all the other soldiers sailors who have vowed loyalty to their new captain. They get shafted in that.
Yeah, but family is more important, as is the plot.
Or, I don't know, maybe
No, that goes into the plot hole, the kind of thing the plot doesn't care about, we're not meant to think about. It's not,
Lynn, then
or maybe we're meant to understand that the booty that they've collected up to now has already been distributed among the ordinary men. But it's interesting that this play really is concerned with class and status. That it takes time to mention, and emphasize certain details and aspects of people's character. It could take a moment for him to say to his sailors, I've got enough now. I can give you all a little stake, and you can leave this, and you can leave the pirating life and go, and go have a legitimate career somewhere else. It could have it would have taken like 4 lines. It could have done that, but it didn't. So that's interesting.
Constantine.
I think we have discussed this before, but the idea of wealth, how land-based wealth opposed to newfound wealth, or the merchant class, is the author really saying anything about that, or it's just a vessel or a tool that they're using? Are they saying something about? Yes, the land wealth is something that you inherit, whereas if you're a merchant, you're the one who actually goes out and makes your money. You are a self-made man, in the sense that you are going against fate, or you find your own fate, or change your fate. I think Lynn wants to say something.
I'm trying to work out what you just said so I could follow the discussion. But go ahead. Lynn.
But that's I think there's just a really interesting aspect of the play to meditate on, because the play's not really concerned about land and sea in this sort of archetypal, the sea is the place of change and mystery or whatever. It's interested in the land and the sea as sources of income. That's what those two environments, that's why they're important. Is one is a steady, reliable, traditional way of earning money by charging rents. You can get into trouble if the harvests are really bad and your tenants basically default. But still, it's there. Real estate doesn't depreciate even now. But the sea is more risky, but it's also a way of investing a little bit and making a lot. The markup on luxury goods was huge. So it's interesting. We have these two sort of elemental forces, but what the play cares about is how they make money.
Fortune by land and sea.
Fortune,
we haven't had the title in the play yet, though, which is quite interesting.
And
fortune, we had fortune a lot.
Kind of in the sense of fate in the abstract, but kind of in the sense of fortune as in money.
I while Constantine was speaking earlier about fortune, how often it's mentioned and stuff, I looked it up. I looked up the sort of how many times it appears in the document. 104 times. So it's not like they use
Eric, altogether, or just up till now?
No, altogether.
Altogether.
And
I think it's just by chance that they mention it.
and
Yes,
fate
it's
appears
chance.
11 times, or so yeah. I don't know. It's just
What about football? How many times has football been mentioned?
once. But I do want to say that like I like how the clown provides like that commentary of like sort of what's it called, just the truth to power and stuff. Where what was the line? Oh, also your tail and your talesman or talisman keeps coming up a lot. I noticed that it's appeared at least once in every act, at least once. I know, but I don't know what it means.
I started to look it up and I forget where it landed, but it has a legal definition.
Okay, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
That is fascinating. Anyway, we should probably move on and try to finish the play so we can have an overall view. Act 5, Scene 2. Enter the sheriffs, the Marshal of the Admiralty with the silver oar, Purser and Clinton going to execution, and the hangman, of course.
Ah, now, how is it with thee, Clinton?
Well, well.
But was not better when we reigned as lords? Nay, kings at sea! The ocean was our realm, and a light billows in the which we sailed our hundreds, nay, our shires and provinces. That brought us annual profit. Ah, those were the days, my friend.
Yes, golden days. But now our last night's come, and we must sleep in darkness.
Worthy mate, we have a flash left of some half hour long. Let us burn out bravely, not behind us, leave a black, noisome snuff of cowardice in the nostrils of our noble countrymen. Let's die no base example.
Thanks, Tom Wotton, whom storms could never move nor tempests daunt, knocks terrify nor swallowing gulfs affright, to whom the base abyss in roughest rage showed like a pleasant garden in a calm, and the sea monsters but like beasts at land of profit or pleasure. Clinton can be affrighted with a halter? Hemp him strangle that thinks of him so basely. Hemp him strangle that thinks of him so basely.
Ah, you can say that again. If that word thou hast put a second sentence of our lives, yet Clinton, never wast my thoughts of thee. Ah, the naval triumphs thou and I have had, I've seen, nay, ourselves made, when on the seas at once have been as many bonfires as in towns, kindled upon a night of jubilee, as many ordnance thundering in the clouds as kings' coronations and dead bodies heaved from the hatches and cast overboard as fast and thick as in some common pest when the plague sweeps cities.
But it had swept us then, too. So the seas had been to us a glorious monument, where now the fates have cast us on the shelf to hang twixt air and water.
Gentlemen, your limited hour draws nigh.
Aye, that's the plague we spoke of, yet no greater than some before have tasted and hereafter may be bound to suffer. And if Purser, as dying men do seldom dim amiss, besides not wrong, how many gallant spirits equal with us in fame shall this gulf swallow and make this silver ore to bless in blood? How many captains that have awed the seas shall fall on the unfortunate piece of land? Some the commanded islands, some to whom the Indian mines paid tribute, the Turk veiled. But when we that have quaked, nay, troubled floods, and made armados fly before our stream, shall founder thus, be split and lost, then be it not impeachment for their fame, since Purser and bold Clinton did the same.
What, is our ship well tackled? We may launch upon this desperate voyage?
Who did bravely?
Call up the boatswain, soundly lash the slave with rope's end, Heave him onto the chest to duck him at the main yard.
Heave me to the chest. I must first heave you to the gallows. And for ducking, I'm afraid I shall see you ducked, and Drake too.
Oh, you have brave navigators, and that have seen or ever had yourselves command aboard, that knew our empire there, now fall now. Pity at least us, that are made the scorn of a base and common hangman.
Thou dost ill to offend them in their deaths.
I have, and long to make an end of them.
Hast thou but 2 months since wrinkled a brow? Look at askew, but less unloose thy lips to speak. Speak, said I, nay, but lodged a thought or murmur of the least affront to us. The basest of all worms' meat. I had made unwholesome food for haddocks. I had none.
Enough, Tom Wotton.
Done.
With these sheets, not sails, a stiff gale blows to split us on yon rock.
Then set sail for that fatal martial seas, and wrapping in our harbour a quicksand that shall swallow many a brave marine soldier, of whose valour, experience, skill, and naval discipline being lost, I wish this land may never have need. But what star must we sail, or by what compass?
I know not the star, but here's your compass.
Shows him the rope.
Yes. Yes, that way points the needle. They way we steer a sad course, plague of the pilot. Hear you, Mr. Sheriff. You see we wear good clothes, are paid for, and our own. Then give us leave, or our own amongst our friends to distribute. There, sir, for you.
And you.
The workmen that made them took never measure on a hangsman's back. Wear them for our sakes and remember us. There's some content for him, too.
And basically, Purser tips the hangman.
Thank your worships.
I would your knaveship had our worship's place, if hanging now be held so worshipful.
But now a sun is setting. Night comes on, the watery wilderness over which we reigned proves in us ruins peaceful. Merchants trade, fearless abroad as in the river's mouth, and free as in the harbour. Then fair Thames, queen of fresh water, famous though the world, and not the least through us, whose double tides must overflow our bodies, and being dead. May thy clear waves our scandals wash away, but keep our valors living. Now, lead on. Clinton, thus, arm in arm, let's march to death, and wherever our names are memorized, the world report 2 valiant pirates fell, shot betwixt wind and water. So, farewell.
And so they exit in procession. It's a great scene, but also I feel like if they're not setting up the gallows before this, what are they doing with all this scene time? Lynn.
Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday when we were introduced to the pirates. Like everybody else in the play really seems to fit in a very clear moral box. We've got good people, we've got bad people. Philip and young Forrest and old Forrest are good people, and Susan is a good person, and Anne is a good person. And the sons and the friends are shits. And the pirates are like outside that moral universe. They are criminals, but their temperaments are really admirable. They're really brave. They're like, well, you win a few, you lose a few. Pays your dues, you takes your chances. We got caught. We're going to the gallows. Oh well, but we're going to do it bravely. They play like this relatively long scene to explore that, to expose, to show us that yeah, they're pirates, but they're so brave, they're so courageous about facing their deaths. So this is very odd.
Constantine and Alan.
Well, again, this fits into the idea of fate. Fate has brought them into this position, like they're exiles, and they've been dubbed outlaws, but at the same time, they can still have some sense of dignity or some sense of valor, as they say. So they are in this what do you call it, limbo, moral limbo. They're in the gray area. So it's like, again, the idea we have three different groups, right? We have the landed gentry who have the fate is familiar, it's inherited. Then we have the merchants who go out to find their fate, and then we have these sort of outlaws or outcasts. Although their fate is giving them a bad rap, they found some sense of identity and some sense of purpose and of valor. See, there's the sense, although we've done this, we've done something that we should be respected. So it's the idea of fate and fortune. They found their fortune, right? By piracy, yes, it's illegal, but there's a sense of respect. At least that's what the authors are trying to do, right? The idea of bringing in, and I think bringing in an actual pirate, Clinton, I think the authors are trying to give it some sense of legitimacy. I don't know.
Alan,
actually,
then
both the pirates
Brian.
are historical. Yeah.
Alan and Brian.
I'm just wondering whether that scene was put in there either because it was a good scene they happened to have on hand, and well, we've got to find a home for it somewhere. It's also they're the only characters who've effectively got a death speech. All of the others who've died have died off stage or not got anything significant. The other one I'm wondering, and this would be a modern staging issue, was that actually done in front of tabs to give them time to set up for the next scene?
Probably. What I'm wondering, I thought that they were, just vamping until they could be, because we've talked about the difficulty when Alexander was here at some point. I seem to remember there was this whole discussion about how difficult it would be to set up and harnesses and all that stuff for hangings and gallows and all that. Yeah, and I thought that's where it was going. How in, I don't know, plays like The Insane Countess, you've got a hanging at the end. You've got, or I don't know, you've got lots of plays with hangings in them, on stage as well, not off stage. Whereas this one decides to give them the death speech, but then off stage. So yeah, I know, it's interesting. Yeah, Brian.
I agree with Constantine that it fits the elevation of the pirates into big characters here, in the sense that it's about fortune and they have a reversal of fortune, so that's fine. It doesn't fit in the moral sense, and I'm just going to continue asking the same question that we started this discussion with after this scene. I don't really have an answer yet, but they are, as Lynn said, morally complicated. No one else is in a moral gray area. And you could easily imagine that the pirates entered the plot initially as a means of someone else's reversal of fortune, that they were brought in because they were necessary for the stories about the merchant and Forrest to reach the right resolution. Something chaotic had to come in and change their position. But somehow, rather than, they've become something more than just agents of someone else's plot, and they've been brought into full flower even though they don't fit, and given long, admirable speeches that are puzzle me, since they are nothing like what's interested me in the play so far. I like the speeches. The scene was, fun to listen to, but I don't get it yet.
Yeah, Constantine.
Well, they're pirates. They're taking over. When you least
they
expect
would
them to show up, right? I like and I know the reason why. Was it when the purser gives the hangman money? I know the reason why he does it, but I still find that funny. Oh, here, you're gonna kill me. Here's some money. Here's some money. But
Good.
but yeah, it is. I agree with Brian. They just don't. They seem out of place. So if they were introduced in the beginning or some, I don't know. I mean, would this play be different without the pirates, or
Yeah.
at least without that speech and that scene?
I think you could make a version of the script where those parts were severely reduced. And they were
Sorry,
yeah.
Pirated version.
yeah.
I think you need the pirates to make sense of Act 4,
Mhm.
but them coming back in Act 5, I think, feels far more like me. Look, I've got this super little scene written here.
Mhm.
Can we find a home from it somewhere?
It could be. What I was thinking is basically the pirates are, well, because fortune by land and sea, as we said. If you want to be very like sort of weird, all the other characters go to like they're land-based characters that sort of make their fortune either by land or by sea. They choose. They're driven to sea. Whereas the pirates, I mean, okay, maybe they were driven to sea originally, but then they're basically they make their fortune at sea, and as soon as they come to land, they die. So it's like a seafarer cannot thrive on land, and the landlubber can thrive for a while, as long as you back out the game, like as long as you fold when you're on top, kind of thing. Otherwise, you're not going to
Yes,
end
you
well.
should know when to fold them.
Yeah, pretty much.
As it were.
Yeah. Also, I just realized that the doubling falls apart because I had given Olga Anne Harding for the play, and then you basically fall in love with yourself. I mean, you're a lovely person, but Alan, yeah.
I think I'm actually redundant. I think all of my characters have now disappeared.
Okay, so you can read Anne and
Fine.
yeah, I think Susan,
Fine.
you don't talk to yourself.
Well, I'm the merchant.
Yeah,
That I should. Okay.
I think.
Okay,
that
so
should be-
I'm Anne from here on in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
sure are.
Yeah. So, Act 5, Scene 3. Enter Old Forest and Forest.
A father's blessing more than all thy honors crown thee, and make thy fortunes growing still. O heavens, I shall be too importunate to ask more earthly favors at your hands. Now that you, after all these miseries, have still reserved my son safe and unscorned, besides thy pardon and thy country's freedom, what favors hath her grace conferred on thee?
More than my pardon and the meed proposed, to grace the rest, she styled me with the order of knighthood, and for the service of my country, with promise of employments of more weight. The pirates were committed to the Marshalsea, condemned already, and this day to die. And now, as part of my neglected duty, it rests I visit that fair gentlewoman to whom I stand indebted for my life. That necessary duty once performed, out of my present fortunes, to distribute some present comfort to my sister's wants.
A grateful friend thou art, a kind, dear brother, and a most loving son.
Enter Anne Harding, Philip, Susan, and a merchant.
Sir, more than all these fortunes now befallen me, a fate midst all disaster unexpected. My noble brother's late success at sea hath filled me with a surplus joy, nor am I at least of all endeared to you to be the first reporter.
'Tis most true, and I, the man that in most distress had first share of his bounty.
Of his goodness we have had sufficient taste already, but to be made more happy in his sight, plenally rejoiceth.
Then, please.
Oh, okay. It would prove like surfeit after sweetmeats.
See all my friends, but first let me salute her to whom I most bound.
My most dear father.
My blessing, meeting with a husband's love, make thy years long and happy.
You are most grateful and much beyond my merit.
Oh, spare me, sir, to fly into his arms that hath so long fled from me.
My sweet sister,
Bar me not of all the blessed fruition of what in part you've tasted, sir. I am one amongst the rest that love you.
I take my sister's husband unto me, therefore one most entire.
Sir, the same, and I, though last in my acknowledgement, yet first in due arrearage.
You I know to be a worthy merchant, and my friend, to whose, next to your sister's courtesy, I stand engaged most for a forfeit life. But him, next to the powers divine above, I ever must adore. And now, fair creature, I dare more boldly look upon the face of your good man than when I saw you last.
And that's some question.
Therefore hath that word struck you with sudden sadness?
My husband,
He's late dead, and yet hath left her none of the poorest widows.
Dead, did you say? And I a bachelor? Now on whom better, O justler, can I confer myself than to be hers by whom I have my being, and give to her that freely gave me life? There is a providence that prompted me to it, and I will give it motion. Gentle lady, by you I am, and what I am by you, be then to me, as I have styled you last, a lady. Heavens have made you my preserver, to preserve me for yourself, losing a husband. Who knows but you have saved me to that end, that lost name to recover, and by me sweet interchange and double gratitude? I left you sped, but find you now despoiled. Married, you ventured for my single life, widowed, by me to gain the name of wife.
What? Pause at the motion. You're not my sister if you deny him.
Let me plead for him. Susan?
Oh, okay. Oh, doubly link me to you, be you styled my brother and my father.
With you let my age join, and make me proud to say that in the last of days, barren of issue, I have got so fair a daughter.
Sweet, your answer.
sir, I should much mistake my own fair ends, should I alone withstand so many friends. I am yours, and only so.
I yours the same, and lady, now I kiss you but that name.
Sorry, I'm too busy laughing in the background. Enter clown.
What? Kissing already? Then I smell another wedding towards, and in no fitter time than now. Prepare yourselves, gentlemen and gentlewomen. Make a hall, for I come to present you with a mask.
What mask?
Not such as ladies wear upon their faces to keep the foul from the fair, but a plain mask, or rather more properly I may call it a mumming, because the presenters have scarce a word to speak for themselves.
If there be any that appears friends, come to grace our feast in courtesy. Admit him, prithee.
That shall I, sir, and with all expedition, and that without drum, without fife or musician.
Enter William, John, Goodwin, and Foster.
These two lines shall serve for the prologue. Now enter Scena prima dramatis personae. These be the actors, yet let me entreat you not to condemn them before you hear them speak.
Amazement startles me. Are these my brothers?
By the father's side it should seem, for you know he was a hard man, and it should seem 'tis but a hard word with them.
Are these my false friends that distrusted heaven and put their faith in riches? I pray, gentlemen, how comes this change?
How comes this change, say you? No change of postures, which they say makes fat calves, but change of drink, change of women, change of ordinaries, change of gaming, and one wench in the change. All these help to make this change in us.
And change is no robbery. I have been robbed, but not at rough. Yet they that have robbed, you see what a poor stock they have left me. A whore stole away my maidenhead, ill company my good conditions. A broker robbed me of apparel, drink of my wits, and dice of my money.
There is no more than expectation. But how now? you thus altered?
If you had said haltered, sir, you had gone more roundly to the business.
Sir, there was coining laid to my charge, for which, though I acquit myself, I made my estate over unto a friend, or so I thought him. But now he hath cozened me, and turned me out of all.
In dead of night, my counting house was broke out by thieves, and all my coin, which was my whole estate, and the God I then did trust in, stole away. I left a forlorn beggar.
Oh, wondrous! Why, this passes.
May pass among the rest for a scurvy jest, but never like mother passes ale, for that was knighted.
Ale knighted now, I prithee.
You have heard of ale knights, therefore it is not improbable that ale may be knighted.
Thy reason.
Why, there is ale in the town that passes from man to man, from lip to lip, and from nose to nose. But mother passes double ale, and I assure you, sir, surpasses, therefore knighted.
Leave trifling, for more serious is the object offered before our eyes. In these, heaven's justice, in these a most remarkable precedent, to teach within our height to know ourselves, of which I make this use. You are my brothers, a name you once disdained to call me by. Your wants shall be relieved. You that distrusted heaven's providence, and made a mock of what an other's misery, no more deride. Part of your loss shall be by me supplied, according to my power.
My noble brother, you teach us virtue, of which I could wish all those that see good days make happy use. So those distressed, for both there's precedent. But to our present nuptials, reverend father, dear lady, sister, friend, nay, brothers too, but you, sir, most conjoined and endeared, do I say to Philip, but you, sir, most conjoined and endeared in us, the world may see our fates well scanned. Fortune on me by sea, in you by land.
And finally, the play ends with that sort of, well, basically hearkened to the title after 5 acts of violence and stuff. Yeah. Alan, I think you have things to
I
say.
think you left the word random out.
Yeah, well, that like comes along with Heywood anyway.
Yeah, well, quite. It does seem to end up with some fairly heavy-duty moralising, which I always find a little uncomfortable.
This is true. Olga,
We're being forced
do you
fed.
have any thoughts or
No, I'm totally confused, I must admit, so I'll listen what you think first.
I was just too busy laughing over the wedding and say, "Hey, you're single! Oh my God, we're single. Let's get married."
We've seen that coming for so long.
Yeah, but it's
He
just
poisoned her husband. It's obvious.
maybe.
Wouldn't blame her. I mean, but you know, we know she's not like that.
Yeah. Right. I'm just wondering obviously, if you sort of trim it down and then play it at pace, it would be a pleasant sort of play, I guess. What's the thing?
Philip is too damn nice.
Yeah.
I've grown to hate him. He's too goody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't trust those brothers. They're gonna do something.
Again.
I don't think
They haven't learned
this is
anything.
the end. I don't think this is the end.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
They weren't converted by Philip's show of virtue. They didn't suddenly
Yeah,
discover
exactly.
virtue in themselves.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
they really didn't.
now, if he dies, do the lands revert to the brothers?
To the next oldest brother, unless he has a son. If he has a son,
Right.
Yeah.
So
If he has a daughter, though, I don't know what the law.
no,
would
I don't
say.
think the daughter has.
Yeah, she might be SOL.
I do not know.
If they only, yeah.
I was
so-
going to refer to Galatea for that, but I don't know if that counts. Because you get the conversion at the end, dowry and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah. Whatever. Anyway, that's a different play, but you can see it on our YouTube channel. Galatea by John Lilly. It's quite fun. And a lot shorter, I feel. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, moving on. Where to begin with this Yeah.
I don't just quite get why is it a tragi-comedy?
Well, I guess
Oh.
people have died.
Yeah, they've
so-
been murdered.
And
It sure feels like a tragedy in the first, in the first
Yeah,
act,
first part.
first scene, I think. First two scenes, somebody's dead, a duel and a death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because well, what I heard is
Well, then a hanging.
the hanging.
No, what you heard today is all coming up to the comic ending.
Yeah. I think Alan wants to say something.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the tragedy bit, yes, you've got two deaths from weapons, plus two hangings, plus the natural causes of the disappointed speculator. Comedy, the only thing you've got is set up for a wedding at the end. If that's the definition of comedy, certainly in modern terms, there ain't many comedic lines. The clown is certainly not, in most part, doing comic material. And I'm still not quite sure where his status is in the play anyway, because he's too learned to be portrayed as a rustic, but he also speaks truth to power. And it all, I still feel very much as I did in the first third of this, which was, it reminds me of action movies where, as long as you've got special effect, sufficient action spectacular in nature, the audience ain't going to notice the lacunae in the way the script works.
Yeah. Yeah. Constantine. Sorry. You muted yourself.
No, I'm not muted. Yeah. I still maintain the clown is an illegitimate son.
Well,
No,
the
but
thing,
you see,
yeah. Sorry.
It would be different. It would, I mean, and I've seen this in different versions of the same play where they change the names of the characters. Now, if you just called him a servant, wouldn't that solve everything? Because when we see the word clown, we are predestined to expect, or, you know, we're expecting something funny. But if you were called a servant,
If he were
wouldn't that
called a
solve
servant,
everything?
yeah, it wouldn't solve everything in that we would still see lines of his and think, boy, he quotes Latin and speaks truth to power and comments on things and makes amusing things happen. It's sort of like a
Yeah.
clown, we'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess also at this point in history, a clown was something different. Like, I don't know, aside from like you know, like, and we, like Lois had pointed out that Heywood was a a clown actor. So,
A clown lover,
yeah. That's
clonophile.
just- yeah,
Actually, that's the actual term, believe it or not.
that's a scary thought. Yeah, I had a point there, but basically, I'm imagining that it's written as clown, as in the actor playing the part, like the person in the company who does that particular role. But well, also there's a lot of physical business that is involved in this. I feel I'm not entirely sure. Not necessarily with the clown is himself, but I mean throughout the play, I feel like there's a lot of stage directions and physical business that we didn't quite parse.
What? Sorry, we're talking about which characters change. I guess you could say the brothers have changed.
Maybe.
How?
No,
I mean,
wouldn't-
it
If
would
we
have been
believe them.
interesting if we saw some actual change in the brothers. I mean, if they focus a bit on the brothers and if they've gone through hard times and realized, but that doesn't seem very genuine. But
You could, I guess you could try to put them on the same trajectory as the London Prodigal, where they're bad up into the very end, when someone's extraordinary virtue suddenly gives them a new insight, and at the last scene they change.
yes, I see the light. I see the Lord.
Yeah. Alan.
I don't see them as having changed character. I see them as changed appearance, because when they come back as the maskers, the four quote baddies, have obviously had a significant drop in status,
Yeah.
but I don't think they've had any significant change of heart.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Alan, when you say that, when the clown says a mask, and then is it Philip who says mask, and there's a confusion. There's something happening there, like the masks that we wear, or the characters that wear the different roles they play, or at least they pretend to be somebody then they're not, or something. I mean, obviously, I mean, the fact that it's thrown in there.
Oh, I thought it was more like mask as in like sort of, you get the like the king and queen would have masks, like as in
Yes,
masks, balls,
but
blah,
there's
blah,
the
blah, with
spelling is
words.
different though.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they make the distinction.
Yeah.
So there's two different masks here. So
Yeah,
Indeed.
no,
Clown and Vipe. Yeah.
that may be deliberate, because if we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
early Jacobean, that is the point when the mask as a
Yeah.
theatrical form was in the ascendant.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
we're into the Jacobean court where Johnson and Inigo Jones and so on.
The clown is
So
definitely inviting all those associations.
wondering whether there's reference there.
Yeah. I had assumed that he was basically making fun of them, because obviously they're so sheepish and sort of crawling back to Philip for money and stuff.
and they are wearing masks, because as we say, they act as if they're reformed. We don't think they are really. They're just desperate. They're desperate.
That's a good question. I wasn't sure whether to imagine them dressed for mumming properly, or just simply dressed to reflect the change in their condition. And it's the clown's joke to call their new beggarly appearance a mask.
Possible.
That's what I'd assumed, but I don't know if that's just me.
Me too, I think.
I'm trying to think of anything else that has come up in our sessions that we really were interested in, and now I can't think of anything.
Football.
No, that's a different podcast. After hours. Anyway, moving on.
So how long would this play be? 2 hours long?
Maybe longer?
At least.
19,000 words. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be something like 2.5, taking a pace. But then, how much time do you put into the business of the seed fights?
Mm-hmm.
And
the hat.
I'm damn sure the fight sequence earlier on, if our tame fighter ranger was here, she would be asking for at least 5 minutes, if not longer, for the choreography for that.
Yeah, you'd need
the hat scene.
Yeah, you know, and I could see a fighter ranger having an awful lot of fun working out the gymnastics of that one.
Yeah, you'd need time for that as well. A lot of time.
Now, you've all had most of you have done these many plays before. I mean, how? And I know it does occur, but at the end of the play, and you have reference to the title. I mean, that seems forced. I mean, but how many times is it very consistent? Does it usually happen? I mean, from your experience,
I'd say it depends on the play. For example, in A Case is Altered by Ben Jonson, the title comes up quite. I think the title comes up once or twice, but then it's such a fast and farcical play that you kind of don't really notice. Whereas with other plays, you do get ridiculously. A ridiculous amount of mentions of the title, in case you forget it, I assume.
I think probably overall it happens more often than it doesn't.
Yeah.
That you get an explicit mention of the title within the body text. And often it does look as if it's been sort of forced in with the assistance of a crowbar.
Yes. Or some other implement. Anyway,
just one more thing. Do you have, of all these plays, do you have a rate, like a scale to rate them?
What do you mean?
This 4 out of 5,
Oh,
5 out of
no,
5.
no.
that would be interesting.
Technically you can't know that until you actually
I
see the play staged, can you?
I know, but I'm talking about your experience of the plays. I mean, how does this compare to other plays? I mean, does it stand up? Is it something that could be performed easily? Is it something? I mean, we talk about tragic and comedy. Is it? I mean, we've talked about the problems it has. I mean, overall, is this a viable play?
Well, it's
Depends
not
on who you
racist.
ask.
Yeah, it's not racist.
I'm asking
which
you.
is-
Um, well, we can talk about that in final thoughts. Should we final thoughts?
Yeah,
Or-
Yeah.
I was going to say we should segue
Yeah.
into that, and I was going to say that it's not racist, which is a sort of
yeah.
bonus. Surprisingly, I mean, because usually you get like racism, misogyny, the unholy trinity
Oh.
or something.
I misunderstood what you meant.
Yeah. Yeah. So final. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we kind of get this kind of. I'm just wondering which parts you would cut in this production, because it's like you don't usually have to worry about having too many scenes. You usually have to worry about having too few. In this case, we have the opposite problem. So what do you cut or what do you leave in, I suppose, is an interesting question.
I think you cut a lot of the moralizing. You don't remove it, you trim it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, 'cause you
the
don't-
modern
yeah,
audience doesn't get as much pleasure from dwelling at length on each new position.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constantine and Olga, I think, maybe.
Do something with Philip, please.
Yeah.
Give him
Water
a
him
backbone.
down. He's too
Yeah.
nice. He's one of these people that smiles in the morning and says good morning. You want to slap him in the face. Like, shut up already. You're a good person. Leave me alone.
You don't really sound like a Canadian, Constantine. What's your problem?
Oh,
He's
in
Canadian.
this early
that's
in the
his
morning,
problem.
no, but I mean, seriously.
He is. He's a little.
He's so sweet. I've gotten cavities.
Yeah.
Olga.
Oh, well, I can't say much because, because I missed quite a substantial part of the play. Oh, but I'm still slightly puzzled. If you cut all this moralizing, pretty much, what are you left with?
Well,
You left-
action mainly.
Well,
And,
yeah.
yes,
Rever-
there's some fun action, but what does it come to? What's the play
Brian,
about?
or- yeah.
Then?
Reversals of fortune. I think that's really what it has to offer.
Yeah.
A
But
long
then-
series of sort of predictable ones in a complicated shape that eventually wraps up into a satisfying, tying up of all the loose ends. You lose track of how many loose ends there are in the middle.
Oh yes, yeah. I guess you do lose something, but yeah. Well, if it is satisfying.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would produce it. I'm saying if I were forced to produce it, that's what I might try to aim for.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where you can kind of I think you would trim some of it down. What I do like is that you don't get the pirates going, oh, I've been bad all my life, I should probably repent so I can get to heaven now. Which is actually quite refreshing throughout the whole
That's a good point.
thing. I just realized this because I made notes.
Another sign that nobody changes.
Yeah.
That's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
No conversions.
Except for the
No
brothers.
growth. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, I don't know if it's an act, like, because we kept talking about, like, I mean, Brian, you mentioned it yesterday and the day before, like, that there is a lot of character in these, sorry, hi dog. I don't know which one of the two that dog is. Yeah, I'm not sure, like, whether the moralizing would stand up to production or not. Sorry, I lost my thread of thought because puppy.
Sorry.
It's fine. We like pets on here. I mean, like Scooter.
Olga,
Yeah.
what's your dog's name?
Yeah,
Oh, his name is Winnie the Pooh.
that makes sense.
Oh,
Everyone needs Winnie the Pooh in his life.
Mm.
Yes,
We
that
do.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's the one.
We do.
Oh.
Yeah, with that thought, segueing back into the play or not, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like, I mean, it doesn't feel like an actor's play really, because it's kind of like
Hmm.
if your
Fair.
character doesn't change, what is driving them beyond circumstance, I guess.
I think I would agree. It doesn't offer you a lot to play with.
Except the pirates.
Oh well, just that's just having
Pirates.
fun. Yeah, pirates are pirates. That's sort of yeah.
Alan, yeah.
Yeah, I think quite honestly, probably even originally, this was largely played for spectacle rather than any sort of moral or historical arc, as it were. And I think you almost got, as I mentioned, that pirate, that scene with the two pirates facing execution
Mhm.
did feel to me almost like, oh well, I've got this routine here that we can do.
Yeah.
We'll shoehorn it in somehow. We've had quite a number of plays that we've done over the last 3 years where they've almost felt like greatest hits shows. I suppose the then equivalent of the jukebox musical.
Yeah.
This scene worked well in that play. That one went well in that one. Fine, well, let's see what happens if we stick them all together in one. At least it'll keep the punters happy and coming through the doors prepared to pay their tuppence or whatever.
Mhm. Well, also, I guess it's kind of it depends how you look at it. Like if you look at it the way, like, for example, a Johnson play, which is a bit longer than this, just a little bit. Johnson plays are notorious for being long, but then you wouldn't do the whole thing. You would do only parts of it, and then the thing is, which parts of this do you do? Which parts do you leave out? Aside from Philip, we just kill him off quietly or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued because it's not a bad play. I mean, we've had worse and we've had better. So
I quite enjoyed reading it, even if I'm not sure I'd enjoy watching it.
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a swashbuckling adventure almost, but not quite.
Mhm.
Any thoughts, Lynn, who is probably
Yeah, I'll
eating?
do a final thoughty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm usually the negative Nelly in the room, but I really liked it. I really liked it.
Because the bad guys
Rachel
got
was-
their comeuppance.
Yeah, I like that because it doesn't happen in real life, so I want to see it somewhere.
Makes sense.
Rachel was a little exercised yesterday and the day before about its generic ambiguity, which is I think it's more of a problem for us as sort of living in our heads in the early modern period, because it starts out looking a little like a city comedy, but it's a romance. It's a romance, basically. And I mentioned the other day that the romances that I'm most familiar with by Beaumont and Fletcher have these kind of exotic settings. Like King and No King is set in kind of this vague medieval fairyland, and well, not really, but you know what I mean. Like it was a vague medieval past, and then the Sea Voyage is an unknown desert island, and the place we can't mention have kind of exotic settings in the misty past or on an island somewhere. So the setting helps the audience key into the genre and to know what to expect. And this doesn't begin with that setting. It begins in a very real, gritty London. But that wouldn't be a problem for a modern audience, because if we set it in Elizabethan London, that's a mythical past for us.
Yeah.
So and it also, as the play progresses, it makes it clear it's actually not set in the exact present. It's set in the reign of Elizabeth, which James and his administration were fully on board with romanticizing, because it basically elevated the status of the monarchy in general, to say, oh, our previous monarch was Gloriana. He was totally okay with that. So so I think that might, historically, that might be part of what's going on here, is romanticizing the previous administration.
Mhm. Sorry.
So
You're getting emotional. It wasn't
Yeah.
that good.
so this is not real life. This is a play. This is what fiction means, where the good end happily and the bad unhappily. And I actually, having said that, I like the pirates. I like the sort of more loose end, as opposed to plot loose end, that the pirates represent.
Mhm.
That they are both good and bad. They're criminals. They're going to get hanged, and nobody says, "Oh, that's unjust." Philip and Forrest don't try to intervene on their behalf.
Yeah, but why? Well, I
I'd
mean,
say,
Forrest got them
you redeem
captured.
yourself, we'll get you out of this. They
Yeah.
don't do that,
Yeah.
but we still can't help liking them. So I don't know, that's sort of, lump in the porridge is a virtue, I think, rather than a flaw, or it's a flaw that makes this play more interesting. And I think if you went through with your editor's scalpel as opposed to your editor's pruning shears, and just made some of those sort of long exchanges, like Brian says, where the point of the scene is to moralize, just sort of fillet those down to
Mhm.
much shorter scenes, I bet you could get this to under 2 hours, and I think it could be really entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it could be what was I gonna say? Shit, I forgot. Anyway, moving on. Constantine, did you have a point to make about this, or a counterpoint, or something?
We should call this a lump in the porridge, as Lynn referred to. Again, Philip. Ugh.
You're right. You're right.
But
I mean, you're
yeah,
right.
but what's her name? Anne. The way how quickly she, I have a problem with that. How Anne quickly gets remarried, and I know what they're trying to do, but I mean, some of it is just like there's too much happening. I think there's too much happening. We need to cut. There's too many characters, unnecessary characters. Don't call the clown a clown. Call him something else. Maybe reduce some of the piracy, or make the pirates a little more relevant, or I guess how can you make them relevant? You can't introduce them in the beginning, but I mean, yes, it is enjoyable, but we need to yeah, the clown calls himself a clown, but don't we all? But I think the pirates need to I don't know. We need to do something. I think at the end with the pirates in the pirate speech, I think it's a bit too heavy-handed. I mean, cut that, reduce that. It seems like, what's his name? Purser and Clinton seem to be important characters, but what's happened with that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because the point I was going to make earlier, when after Lynn was done talking and saying so many intelligent things, I was going to say that what interests me is that it's assuming people were, because this is like 1580s, and then whatever, so 1616 or 16, whenever this play was written, because we're entirely unsure about it, like it was either 1607 or 1609 or 1616 and 1623. So it kind of if it's the earlier date, then the events of Purser and Clinton and the personalities there, aside from romanticizing whatever, wouldn't they have been in living memory, or does that not count? I'm intrigued by this idea, like it's sort of like us doing sort of films on, I don't know, Al Capone or something, or
Reference
Yeah.
to Clinton himself.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah. Just sort of, I don't know, it's not one of the plays that you can just modernize, I feel, which you'd have to maintain that mythical London vibe
Yeah.
somehow. And you
Merry old
couldn't.
England, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or else you'd have to, it is of its time, obviously, but it's not one of those where you can just give them modern clothing and explain it away because the mobile phone didn't work or something. Or the GPS signal died. Or, you know, it these things happen. And yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued by this, but also I'm kind of like, what do you do with it? If you have answers, send them to us on a postcard.
You add
Or
a dog. You add a dog and make it a musical.
Yeah, I was thinking of that actually.
There you go.
Yeah,
Cute animals and show tunes. Yeah.
it works. It's fine.
Instead of Fortune by Land and Sea, it's going to be called A Tune by Land and Sea.
That works. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Alan? Sorry.
Well, following up on Constantine's suggestion, no, it's a musical with more than 3 but less than 5 numbers in it. Just call it 4 tunes by Land and Sea.
Here we go. I think I should call the room to order before we spiral completely into like Punland or something. Anyway.
Ship is sinking.
Anyway. Any other thoughts on the play that we've read, like sort of impressions aside from the moralizing that we've talked about a lot? Brian.
Yeah, I wouldn't push this too hard, but if I were just in a room with designers talking about what direction the play might go after we fillet out the moralizing speeches and try to think what's left, I wonder if we need to think not only of Dickens but of Alexander Dumas, and if there isn't a kind of swashbuckling concentration on reversal of fortunes. It's not an exact parallel, but still kind of two-dimensional characters, but a deep investment in people, how people's fortunes work out. And I think if you de-emphasize the moralizing, you have to compensate by playing up the adventure side of it a bit.
Yeah.
What's left that's really interesting is the clown and the pirates, which I mean, the pirates have an obvious swashbuckling tie-in. That's fine. I just mean as far as what the play seems most interested in, neither of those two fully fits. And it would take the most thought to think how to incorporate what you keep of those two characters in whatever you make out of this play.
You could also write new scenes for it if you wanted to sort of I mean, like sort of, I say write new scenes, like sort of to, you know, mesh things together, or remove and rewrite, depending. If you have any other ideas, go ahead. But anyway, Lynn would not rewrite.
I like this really inchoate thought flitting through my mind, rattling around like a BB in a tuna can. So yeah, the clown and the pirates do not seem to be of a piece. They seem to be sort of in a different play.
I like them though. I mean, they're part of what makes this interesting.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Yeah, and the reason the world that the pirates live in, that's not the world of the play, is more like the real world, because the real world is morally ambiguous. And the world that the clown lives in, the world that the clown comes from to move into the world of this play, is the world of pure theatrical entertainment, of puns, of jokes, of entertainment for entertainment's sake. He's the one that makes the meta theatrical reference when the two brothers and the two friends who have fallen on hard times because of their own stupidity and bad behavior, he's the one that says it's a mask, but it's not that kind of mask, it's this kind of mask. He's the one that reminds us that we're in a theater. So I don't know what that would look like in terms of like your design team, like you were talking about, but the pirates are there to remind us that there's real life, and the clown is there to remind us that it's just theater.
You can
So
make a good case that
suspension of disbelief sort of thing. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can make a good case that the world the pirates live in is the world of tragedy, particularly in the treatment they're given here, in that they are noble characters for whom there's a character contradiction that will drive them to death. And they stand by their profession, even at the point where it means they have to die. And there's that kind of almost like a tragic flaw that
Nice.
takes them to an unhappy end where everybody else gets a happy end.
This is true.
So
With
they're
that
the
thought.
tragic hero.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
You
they're
could cast them that way.
the tragic part of the plot.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I think with that thought, I shall thank our wonderful readers for their wonderful reading, and say goodbye until next time. And if you enjoyed this play, please comment underneath. Yeah, so bye.
So long.
The basest of words.
Arrivederci, das vidania.